Welcome to TechNauts, a podcast by Invado, where we explore how innovation works in practice. Today we're talking about food processing software automation, where to start, how to approach it, and what a practical roadmap might look like. In food processing plants, automation isn't just about robots on the line. Sure, machines are the obvious sign of change, but the bigger shift is happening under the surface, driven by software that connects every device into one smart, self-managing system. A report by Trace Gaines highlights that 71% of the food and beverage industry struggles daily with outdated production methods. This leads to longer task times for 60% of respondents, manual data errors for 39%, and poor communication for 32%. These are the kinds of problems automation can directly solve. But where do you begin if you want results without shutting down your production line? In this episode, we'll break down 5 key areas of food processing automation and share a step-by-step approach drawn from companies already down this path, so you can modernize your operations gradually without unnecessary risks. So let's get into it. If you're running day-to-day operations in a food factory, spotting what needs fixing isn't usually the hard part. The bigger question is, which issues deserve attention first? Here are 5 areas that often kick off a food plant's digital transformation. Not because they're easy, but because improving them quickly lifts production efficiency and brings clear, measurable results. The first area is digital monitoring of food manufacturing processes. Think about this. How much does every hour of downtime cost your plant? Digital monitoring tracks food production parameters in real time via sensors and cameras. This helps you avoid unplanned downtime, reduce waste, and respond instantly to anomalies instead of cleaning up after the fact. Imagine being able to check the current line throughput, cold store temperature and humidity, or individual machine speed at any moment, even on your smartphone. You see what's happening right now and can react immediately, not hours later. Real-time production monitoring addresses common pain points in the food industry, such as late detection of faults and stoppages, raw material waste, and fluctuations in product quality parameters. Studies show that 80% of large food companies already use IoT sensors to optimize processes and react faster to change. Nestlé, for example, increased its end-to-end supply chain efficiency by 28% after rolling out real-time control systems in most factories. There's also the case of potato crisp producers who added infrared cameras and advanced sensors to season control lines, cutting consumer complaints from 7,000 to fewer than 150 per year. So where to start implementing digital monitoring in your plant? Choose one critical parameter whose live tracking will quickly improve product quality or cut costs. Look for a metric that directly affects product safety, like cold store temperature or humidity in processing areas, often triggers complaints, losses, or quality issues, or is hard to check manually in real time. Even a limited pilot, tracking just one parameter in one part of the plant, helps the team get comfortable with new technology and gives you clear, data-backed reasons to expand automation later. Another critical area of automation in food processing is integrating production lines with IT systems. Research shows that 48% of food manufacturers still copy machine data into Excel. As long as equipment stays disconnected from MES or ERP systems, the full potential of automation stays locked up. Once machines integrate with IT systems, duplicate work disappears, and everyone, from the operator on the floor to the plant director, relies on the same live data. That unified stream also drives AI dashboards that catch bottlenecks early, helping plants stay competitive and meet strict regulatory requirements. Integration tackles typical issues like data silos and inconsistencies between departments, decision delays caused by outdated information, and human errors or losses from retyping readings or batch numbers. McKinsey reports on a food producer that introduced an integrated data collection platform and, within months, increased overall equipment effectiveness by 20% in some factories. So, where do you start connecting machines with IT systems in your own plant? Begin by auditing what you have. List every machine and see which ones can transmit data automatically. Then identify the data that's realistically available on your shop floor. Next, check your existing IT stack. What ERP MES or SCADA systems are already in place, and can they connect to your equipment? And don't skip the people side. Ask production, quality, and maintenance teams which data they depend on every day. If your machines don't have built-in connectivity, you can use middleware or APIs. Just make sure to modernize any older systems first so they can share data through open standards like OPCUA. This breaks down information silos and keeps your environment flexible for future upgrades. Another area where automation makes a clear difference in food processing is production planning and forecasting. How often have you reshuffled the plan at the last minute because of urgent orders or late raw material deliveries? Automated production planning, driven by advanced data analytics, lets you respond faster and avoid that kind of scheduling chaos. Automated planning systems analyze history and seasonality, while at the same time monitoring orders, deliveries, and stock levels in real time. They catch deviations early, predict stoppage risks, and suggest adjustments before problems actually reach the shop floor. Machine learning algorithms spot subtle patterns a human would easily overlook, keeping output aligned with real conditions. This kind of automation tackles common headaches in food production, such as endless schedule changes and constant firefighting, unplanned downtime from breakdowns or inefficient changeovers, raw material losses, and finished goods buildup caused by poor SKU level demand forecasts, late orders and missed delivery windows, and uneven resource use or staff overload. One of our clients, an ultra-fresh food producer, faced exactly these challenges. To help, we developed Green Planner, a system that uses live production and sales data to project demand 52 weeks ahead and turn those insights into a clear order schedule. Within a few months, it had already reduced overall losses and saved more than 2 tons of fresh spinach. The system also alerts users about insufficient raw materials and suggests revisiting planned orders. So, where do you start with planning automation? No planning tool will work without up-to-date, consistent inputs. Begin by cleaning up the information that directly impacts production, your orders, consumption data, and raw material availability. Look at how data are collected now. Is it manual or automatic, all in one system or scattered across many? Where gaps exist, are delivery dates missing? Are inventory levels incomplete? And whether your current data actually supports reliable scheduling. If data are scattered, incomplete, or inconsistent, automation simply won't have a solid foundation to build on. Another critical area where automation pays off is HACCP compliant reporting. A single documentation slip-up can halt production, force a batch reinspection, or, in the worst case, trigger a product recall. With fresh goods especially, every process has to be fully documented and traceable. It's more than a formality. It's the foundation of consumer trust. Digital HACCP automation systems monitor critical control points, capture sensor data like temperature, pH, and hygiene, and generate all the required reports automatically. Everything's stored in one audit-ready database that's accessible 24/7. This brings clear benefits, including eliminating documentation gaps and human errors, faster response to quality deviations, shorter, simpler quality control audit prep, lighter admin workload, and ultimately, better food safety. Automated cleaning logs and digital sign-offs also create a tamper-proof trail that auditors trust, cutting paperwork and reducing waste even further. According to Global Growth Insights, 68% of companies have linked their HACCP systems with supply chain tools, gaining better quality control and transparency. Meanwhile, 67% improve process efficiency and 64% cut audit costs. Automated systems also speed up responses to non-conformances by 61% and reduce documentation errors by 60%. So where to start with HACCP automation in a factory? Focus on where discrepancies come up most often, recording deviations and corrective actions. In many food plants, these records are still handwritten in notebooks, spreadsheets, or paper checklists, making it hard to track who did what and when. Find out which records are still handwritten, how deviations and fixes are logged, and whether that trail would truly satisfy an auditor. A basic system that tracks deviations, lists corrective actions, assigns responsibility, sends alerts, and keeps a searchable history can quickly deliver measurable value for teams on the ground and for auditors alike. The final area worth highlighting is internal logistics and food production scheduling. No packaging at the line? Bottlenecks between stations? If in-plant logistics falls behind the schedule, you're looking at stoppages, delayed changeovers, and raw materials just sitting there, idle. Internal logistics automation connects systems that manage material flow in real time and keeps them in sync with the production timetable. Manufacturing execution systems and warehouse management systems align work orders, material flow, and buffer levels. This enables practices like milk run replenishment that keep lines supplied without creating costly overstock. Advanced planning and scheduling systems, often powered by AI, go a step further. They fine-tune what to make, when, and in what sequence, so production can respond dynamically to late deliveries or last-minute orders. These systems tackle everyday problems such as line stoppages from missing materials, raw material pileups because production and transport aren't moving at the same pace, unnecessary changeovers caused by chaotic job sequences, and decisions still based on gut feel instead of real data. Industry studies show APS can raise plant productivity by up to 25%, cut inventory by half, and push on-time delivery rates to 80%. MES alone boosts production efficiency by 20%, shortens lead times, and trims stock levels, all of which translate directly into cost savings. Integrating MS and WMS synchronizes production with the warehouse, improving both transparency and resource use. So where do you start optimizing internal logistics and production scheduling in your plant? Begin by checking whether logistics is truly keeping up with production. Look at how often materials fail to reach the line on time. See whether the warehouse knows exactly what to deliver and when. And make sure the production schedule reflects the actual pace of logistics, not just what's in the master plan. Even a basic tool that logs delivery delays and material movements can quickly reveal inefficiencies, pinpoint real bottlenecks, and show exactly where a first automation pilot will have the biggest impact. So far, we've talked about the key areas where automation can bring the most value in food production. But knowing where to automate is only half the story. The other part is how to go about it. In food production, consistent quality and operational stability are vital. That's why it makes sense to introduce automation technologies methodically. Instead of a sweeping rollout, start with a precisely chosen area and test solutions under controlled conditions. What follows is a 5-stage methodology that structures this journey, from analyses and pilot selection all the way through to full deployment and continuous improvement. You can run these stages internally if you have the right resources. If not, it's wise to involve a technology partner experienced in food manufacturing, especially when it comes to system integration and ROI assessment. Just remember, an external software firm won't have your plant specific know how. Effective solutions only come by combining their expertise with yours. The first phase is all about analysis and choosing the right area to begin. Here, the goal is pretty straightforward. Find where automation will bring the quickest, most tangible benefit. Before you start implementing any new solutions, you need to understand how your production actually works today. Not how you think it works, but how it really runs day to day on the floor. Analyzing the current state is key to making wise decisions and avoiding misguided investments. So, look closely at your current processes, assess the condition of your lines, identify bottlenecks and losses, and establish a baseline, like your current OEE and the actual cost of 1 hour of downtime. Also, remember to set some clear, measurable targets. For instance, you might aim to cut waste by 5 percentage points. Then rank all your ideas using a simple effort versus impact approach. And don't forget to involve the people closest to the work: operators, supervisors, and maintenance teams. They know where the real pain points are and can point out informal practices you might otherwise miss. Bringing in an external partner at this stage can be useful too. A fresh set of eyes often spots opportunities or problems that have become invisible to teams doing things the same way for years. They'll also ask questions that challenge assumptions and help you see processes without bias. Once you know exactly where to start, it's time to move on to shaping a pilot. This is where you design and prepare a solution that's tailored to your actual needs and constraints. The pilot project should be tailored as closely as possible to the processes in your plant and the existing infrastructure, no larger or more complex than you really need. Start by building a cross-functional team with people from production, quality, maintenance, and IT. Select the right technology, sketch out a concept or a digital simulation, and set 2 or 3 key metrics to watch. Define clear go or no-go thresholds, like seeing OEE improve by at least 5 percentage points over baseline, with 0 new critical failures. Then lock down both CAPEX and OPEX budgets and put together a simple risk table. An experienced system partner can really help here. They'll turn your process knowledge into a practical solution and flag any technical roadblocks early. This is a stage of intensive cooperation and dialogue, where the practical experience gained by your partner during the implementation of similar projects in other production plants will be most useful. When that's ready, you can launch your pilot. This is your chance to test how well the system actually performs in daily operations, not to prove everything works perfectly, but to find limits and errors before rolling it out more broadly. Run the new system in the chosen area while keeping your old processes running in parallel for a fair comparison. Test it under different conditions, like sudden order changes or delivery delays. Gather feedback from the team and adjust things on the fly. After the testing period, see how results measure up to your original go, no-go criteria. Then decide if it's worth scaling. Wrap up with a short summary report. Most pilots last several weeks, so you can capture normal ups and downs. Throughout, a good tech partner will help you sort minor startup quirks from deeper designed problems, using lessons they've learned in similar projects to help you avoid expensive missteps. If the pilot delivers, you're ready to scale. Here, the focus shifts to rolling out the solution across your plant, without disrupting operations. Plan around your production rhythm and avoid big changes during peak seasons or financial closings. Roll things out in an order that matches profit impact and risk. Offer short, targeted training sessions, mixing theory and hands-on practice to fit both the complexity of the system and your staff turnover. And keep tracking your key metrics throughout. When done well, scaling speeds up operations, makes outcomes more predictable, and builds a consistent data foundation that becomes a real competitive edge. At this point, your relationship with a tech partner often changes from design work to more of an advisory role. They might support internal teams to take full ownership or continue with long term external help, depending on what suits your business best. Finally, it's about maintaining and improving the system over time. Automation isn't a one and done project. These systems are meant to serve you for years, so they need stable service and a team ready to drive improvements. Assign ownership. Set up clear paths for fault reporting and response times. Define quality targets like system uptime, reaction speeds, and acceptable error rates, and review them regularly. Schedule updates, and allocate budget for future integrations or licenses, and periodically dig into the data and user feedback. Operators often notice small issues before they become bigger problems. Many companies choose external support here, simply because it's more cost effective than building a full internal IT team, especially when their main focus is food production. Either way, it's smart to train a few in house people who can handle basic diagnostics and communicate well with service partners. Now that we've gone through the stages of how to approach automation in a food plant, from analysis and pilots to scaling and long term improvement, it's worth looking at what actually makes these efforts succeed. Because having a solid plan is one thing, making it work on the ground is another. Companies often stumble over the same organizational pitfalls. They rush, lack a coherent vision, or overlook what the team really needs. Where automation succeeds, firms usually follow a few clear principles that stack the odds in their favor. First, automation starts at the top. When management is committed and has a clear vision, when there's a transparent purpose behind why you're automating and what exactly will change, it builds trust across the plant. Factories that talk openly about these goals early on almost always see stronger staff support. Then there's the question of suppliers and technology. It's important to pick stable solutions that integrate well with the systems you already have. Automation should serve your broader strategic priorities, not just look impressive or high tech on the surface. Integration is another piece that can't be an afterthought. Thinking about standards, data, and overall architecture right from the start prevents communication gaps and duplicated functions later on. Using open protocols and designing a coherent system means fewer headaches down the line when everything has to work together. And of course, none of this happens without people. Adoption hinges on your team. If they don't get enough time for training, trials, and open dialogue, engagement drops. The more you involve employees from the beginning, showing them the purpose and giving them ownership, the more likely they'll become true champions of the project. Studies keep proving the point. 92% of digital transformation failures come down to organizational issues, not the technology itself. It helps to be upfront that automation isn't about cutting headcount. It's there to lift the heaviest, most repetitive tasks off people's shoulders and to prepare the team for more digital ways of working. So, to wrap it up, implementing automation in food manufacturing is no small task, but it's absolutely manageable when done with a clear purpose. It works best when it targets a specific, real need: cutting waste, improving planning, reducing documentation errors, or simply speeding up decisions. Often, a well-designed solution in just one critical area ends up driving measurable improvements throughout the entire system. If you're running a plant that still leans on outdated processes, if siloed data keeps slowing down decisions, or you see clear tasks that are ready for automation, we'd be glad to explore it with you. With experience in digital transformation for food production, we can help design solutions that fit the way your operations really work. There's a link in the episode description if you'd like to talk about what this could look like in your own plant. That's all from us today. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch up next time.